Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. The subject of the discourse today is Dhamma Hadaya Pariyaya, that is the heart of Dhamma, or the teachings of the Buddha. Now, this this consists of what is known as Vishuddhi Magga, the path of purification. Now, this is based on what is called Ratha Vinita Sutta in Majjhima Nikaya, that is the simile of the relay chariots. Now it seems the Buddha was staying at Rajagaha, and a large number of monks from his native Sakyan and Kolian country, they had assembled there. They had come to see the Buddha, and from Sakya country, and there he asked some of these monks, "Well, monks, tell me, who among you is most respected or is considered very highly, because there is absolutely no contradiction in word and in action. Yatha vadi tatha kari. Whatever he says, that he does, and whatever he does, that he says. And whatever he does and says, that he thinks." In other words, all the three doors of action, that is speech, action and thinking, there is no contradiction between the three. All the three are so harmonized as to reflect the true holiness in the person, the true spiritual evolution in the person. So now, all the monks in one voice, they say, the Venerable Mantaniputta is such a person whose conduct, speech and thought are absolutely perfect, and therefore this he symbolizes a perfectly holy, enlightened saint, an arhat. So the Venerable Sariputta, who was the chief disciple of the Buddha, that is, he was second only to the Buddha in wisdom and spiritual excellence. So he heard this, and he was very much taken up by the way the monks praised this monk, the Venerable Mantaniputta. So wherever he went thereafter, he praised, he thought, "Oh, what a great good fortune for this monk, that he has been praised by his brother monks for being so harmonious, and who perfects his conduct and his thought and his speech." And so he symbolizes the perfection, a perfect saint, a perfect enlightened being. So he was filled with joy within himself that such a monk, who has been praised by his brother monks in front of the supremely enlightened Lord, the blessed Lord Buddha. So wherever he went, he praised the virtues of the Venerable Mantaniputta. he said, a monk of this kind of perfect life is really a great blessing to the society, to mankind, because he symbolizes perfection through purification of his virtue, purification of mind, and purification of understanding. And therewith the purification of the supermundane spiritual progress and spiritual final attainment of Nibbana. So he went and wherever he went, he preached. Then the Buddha went to Savatthi thereafter. So Venerable Sariputta also followed, and he went to see the Buddha in Jetavana, Savatthi. After visiting the Buddha and taking his blessings, he went to what is called Andhavana, a very thick, dense forest, where usually the arhats went to spend their noon time, and they spent the whole day in meditation, and in the evening they would visit the Buddha in Jetavana and listen to his discourse. So Venerable Sariputta did the same thing. But while going, he met some monks, and they said, Venerable Sir, have you heard that Venerable Mantaniputta also has come and seen the Buddha just today, and he has now gone to Andhavana? So when he heard this, he says, this is the right time for me to go and see him. So he followed him, and there he went when the Venerable Mantaniputta was seated under a tree in this Andhavana and meditating. He quietly went and sat at the foot of some other tree nearby, and both of them spent the entire afternoon, say between 12 and 5 hours. They plunged in samadhi, the transcendental samadhi of direct experience of Nibbana, and then rising from the samadhi. First of all, the Venerable Sariputta emerged from his samadhi, and then he saw that the Venerable Mantaniputta also he was emerging. So he got up quietly and waited a little, and then went to where the Venerable Mantaniputta was seated. And then he greeted him, and they had a very wonderful discussion on what is called the 7 purifications. And that is the Dhamma Hadaya, the very heart of spiritual perfection. And that is the theme we have. And this is a series, number of things are involved in this. But first of all, in today's discourse, I will go into the very beginning of the Sakyan monks, who these Sakyan monks were. There were 10,000 of them in Savatthi, and all arhats, perfected ones, all enlightened disciples of the Blessed Lord Buddha. So now, the story goes back to when, on the very first year after the Buddha had become the Buddha, in the month of May, and then 2 months later, after he remained for 2 months in Samadhi, enjoying the bliss and eternal peace of supreme enlightenment. Emerging from this state of 2 months, after 2 months of samadhic experience, during which he exercised all the powers and virtues and knowledge of a supremely enlightened Buddha. He exercised all of them. Then in the month of July, on the full moon day of July, exactly 2 months after he had become Buddha, on the full moon day of May. So in July, he gave his first discourse entitled Dhamma Chakka Pavattana Sutta, setting in motion the wheel of truth. And there he propounded the very heart of his teaching, namely teaching on the Four Noble Truths, teaching on the middle path approach leading to Nibbana, enlightenment, and so on, and the Noble Eightfold Path, which is also known as the middle path. Then the two extremes that keep a being tied down to worldly existence and forcing the being to undergo sufferings of all kinds in different planes of existence, and not knowing that the person is actually in a state of very unsatisfactory state of being caught in the wheel of recurring existence, to be born again and again, and to die again and again because of being born, and then to be reborn again and again because of having died. The wheel of karma and its corollary, rebirth, it moves on and on endlessly and aimlessly, creating what is called samsara, the endless wheel of life, the wheel of life endlessly moving, and there is no end to this. So the Buddha discovered this during his supreme enlightenment, and he taught it in the form of Paticca Samuppada. Number one, the law of dependent origination. How a being is born, how the beginning of life, how life starts and goes on, and how the cessation of this wheel can be achieved through a spiritual discipline, which amounts to purification of conduct, purification of one's mind, and purification of one's understanding of reality, enabling one ultimately to penetrate deep into the truth of everything that exists, the truth about the world and the causes that involves a being in this world, then the state which is freed from both the worldly sufferings as well as the cause which leads to that, and the state and the truth rather, which shows the path leading to that state of ultimate peace and enlightenment, Nibbana. Now they are also otherwise called the Four Noble Truths. The sum and substance of this teaching, the first sutta, is the Four Noble Truths, and in all its varieties, and Paticca Samuppada. So the Buddha, after teaching this for 3 months, he remained there. He spent his first Vasana, that is the rains retreat, and then after the 3 months he went to retreat. You see, he had promised to King Bimbisara that he will, after becoming enlightened, he will visit him, and he fulfilled. To fulfill his promise, he went there. He went through this Bodhi, the Buddha Gaya, etc. But I will skip that story. I will go straight to Rajagaya now. So he reached there. He went there with 1,000 of his newly, enlightened disciples, they were known as the Jatilas. 1,000 Jatilas had become his disciples, and he went with them. There he met the king, and the king came with a large number of his subjects, all his high officials, his ministers and all that. And you see, there was a huge concourse of people who met the Buddha just in the outskirts of the city of Rajagaha. There he gave a discourse, and a large number of them became spiritually transformed. They entered into the stream of Nibbana, the irreversible stream from which there is no question of going backwards again. Once you enter into the stream, you are bound to reach Nibbana and become an Arhat. There is no question of going back again to the old state of samsaric existence. So, after that the king invited him to, you see, for an alms meal next morning. So the Buddha went with his disciples, and there the entire city of Rajagaha offered the Buddha a grand reception. All the highways and the roads, people were filled. They were, you see, waiting there to have a darshan of Lord Buddha. And the Buddha went and received the king's alms meal together with his monks. And thereafter the king offered what is called, he was very anxious that the Buddha stay on in his city and help his people, you see, to lead a holy life, to lead a spiritual life, and realize the object, the highest object of one's spiritual aspiration, which is freedom from all suffering caused by worldly existence. So, after the alms meal, the Buddha gave a discourse, and then the Maharaja Bimbisara, a very powerful monk and very well known, he had become his discourse already in the previous evening. He wanted to make sure that the Buddha stays on, so he offered the Veluvana, the royal Veluvana, the bamboo grove, together with a large area of the jungle around that is more or less the outskirts, not quite outskirts of the city, but very close to that. So the Buddha accepted, and that was the first monastery from which he started his mission of great compassion. So now it is said that in a couple of months' time, he reached there somewhere near December of the same year. And by the time it was March, a large number of the people from the three kingdoms nearby, the Magadha, Anga and Vanga, all the large number of people had become his disciples, and a large number of arhats. 10,000 people had become arhats by that time, in 3 months' time. So this news somehow reached the Sakyan kingdom, and his father heard about this, and he said, "Oh, my son has become a Buddha, and there are thousands of people who have become enlightened. They have become realized, liberated saints. Oh, what a wonderful thing to hear." He was very depressed before because the son had left. But now he was full of devotion, full of great spiritual aspiration. So he sent one of his senior most minister together with 1,000 Sakyan princes from different princely families. So with that there was a mission, and these people went there to Rajagaha, and when they reached there, they went to King Bimbisara to influence him. Now, this is a big racket today going on in India, influencing. Something that invariably leads to corruption of the mind. And through corruption of the mind, corruption of action and conduct. And that leading to the corruption of administration and the entire social structure. People become greedy, people become opportunistic and hypocritical. And that is the biggest disease of many countries in Asia today after they have attained their freedom. However, that's a different story, and I know all of you know this more than me. But it is a very sad story. So apparently those days also some such influencing factor existed in some form, but in a very harmless way. Today, what exists today is a very harmful one, dangerous one. But at that time, apparently it was harmless. It existed only among the big governmental people. So this mission of 1,000 Sakyan prince headed by the Sakyan prince who was also the minister of the state. So they went to the king and said, we have come from Sakyan country, we are so and so, we have formed a mission, and we would like to invite the Buddha to come, you see, to pay a visit to the Sakyan capital and give us Dhamma, show us the spiritual path leading to realization of the highest truth. So king said, look here, I am only a disciple. You say that I must go and ask the Buddha to receive you. Who am I? I am only a humble disciple. You go to him and you see, with all humility and goodness, you go and request him. He is an all merciful one. He has compassion for all. So he is the very embodiment of wisdom and compassion. And you will receive all his love and compassion. Go on there. Don't ask me to influence. The Buddha is above influence. So that is how these princes went away. And when they reached the Jetavana Vihara, there the Buddha was shining in all his spiritual glory, giving a discourse to a large concourse of people. It was such an inspiring discourse that they all stood around the crowd, just standing there and listening. So they forgot that they had formed a mission, and they had the royal decree to go and invite the Buddha to come to Sakyan country and so on. They completely forgot the whole thing, and they were just there listening as a devout upasakas, devout, devotees, and listening. It so happened that they were all spiritually very matured people. They were highly evolved people. So after listening to the Dhamma, all of them became spiritually transformed. Now having become transformed, they went step by step, stage by stage. They moved on to the transcendental path, the supermundane state leading to Nibbana, to supreme freedom, once for all, from this state of worldly existence. So, these people, having become arahats, they immediately went to the Buddha. The Buddha had his purpose was to bring about this state of liberation in them. He knew everything about their coming. He knew what is to transpire in the future. He was an all-knower, both of the past and present and future. So he had already seen through what's to happen. So he received them very kindly, very lovingly. They fell at his feet and said, "Lord, please give us, make us monks under you. May we receive both the lower and the higher ordinations, dikshas, and become monks." The Buddha immediately raised his right hand in the manner of giving blessing and said, "Ehi bhikkhu, come, O monks." The Dhamma is propounded perfectly. Lead the holy life. You are now liberated, and do good to the world. Share your knowledge and bring about enlightenment and spiritual freedom in as many as you can. So he blessed them, and immediately those princes, they just turned into, they looked like senior monks. Their features, everything changed. They had all the robe and this arms swollen, everything full. They are fully equipped with a bhikkhu, and elderly bhikkhu. So the people saw this. It was so fantastic and so unbelievable. They saw this transformation right there in the midst of such a big crowd. So the people went almost hysterical in sheer rapture and joy. So these monks received their monastic ordinations, fell at the feet of the Lord, and were full of gratitude indeed. Then they went to the monastery. They were given a place in the monastery. They were given another dwelling place. So they stayed on, and they completely forgot means, see, once you become an arahat, nothing of the world moves you again. Nothing of the world, unless you want to know, consciously and deliberately do something. So they now kept enjoying the bliss of emancipation from all the samsaric dukkha, all the sufferings and tribulations of worldly existence, all the involvements, the predicaments of existence. So, now enjoying the bliss of freedom, they were immersed in that. So they completely, they were indifferent to everything of the world. Now, the king there was wondering, what happened? They have gone there, more than they went in this relay of so many chariots. They must have reached there in just 2 or 3 days of at the most within 3 or 4 days. So now, what happened? They are not here. So 1 week passed, 2 weeks passed, on the 2nd week almost. So he became very restless. So he sent one more mission, the same type. the same thing happened with the second mission. Then the third mission, same thing happened with the third. Then the fourth mission. Like that, 9 missions, nobody returned. All of them had been spiritually transformed. All of them became arhats. Having become arhats, now they are totally indifferent. They were just enjoying the bliss of freedom, emancipation. So on the 10th one, he became very, very king, became extremely anxious and filled with anxiety. He told his the close friend of Siddhartha, one Kaludai, Prince Kaludai, he says, "My dear, will you please go and return this time? I am getting old, I like to see my son, who has become a Buddha. And he is a savior now. I would like to have his blessings and be freed from the world once for all. It's a world of great dukkha." So, he says, "Maharaja, if you give me the permission to become a monk, then I will go and bring him, I give you guarantee." He says, "You guarantee?" "Sure, I do give guarantee." "Okay, I don't mind whether you become monk or not or whatever. So long I see my son and I see him in that spiritual glory, that's all that I want." So he too went the 10th mission with 1,000 princes, Kshatriya princes, Kshatriya, you see, warrior class people. And the same thing happened with this also. But since Kaludai had given his word, he had kept, though he enjoyed the bliss of this, he remembered and he told the Buddha, "Now your father has extended, the king has extended an invitation. Lord, will you please come?" So the Buddha agreed, and that is how immediately the Buddha decided, all right, let us go now. He said, "How now? Immediately?" "Yes." Now King Bimbisara was there in that sabha. And he says, "Lord, you are going away now?" He said, "Yes." Then he said, "Please allow me to make some arrangements." He said, "No, don't worry." So he said, "I will wait for you, Lord, please do come." So this is how he went, and he reached there. On the way, he took two months to go in a slow mission. You see, Charika it is called, a preaching tour. And he took 2 months to go to from village to village, town to town and all that. And the large number of these Magadhan monks, about 10,000 monks went with him. These Sakyan princes only, who had become monks. And another 10,000 Magadhan arhats. So altogether 20,000 arhats went with him. They went to, you see, the Sakyan capital of Lumbini, Kapilavatthu, and there was a very big reception when the Buddha went. The king himself came, the entire city came, you see, in white dress. They all went there and invited him and so on, and the Buddha stayed on there for a month. So it was a complete transformation of the entire scene. Large number of his relatives had become, you see, his devotees, his disciples. The king himself became spiritually transformed. His mother, Gautami, Prajapati Gautami, she became a transformed person and so on. It was a very great spiritual, an unprecedented spiritual transformation all over. So now, when the Buddha returned after a month or so, just to spend his second Varsa in Rajagaha, So that way, these monks, now they returned later to Rajaka. They were settled all over, returned to Kapilavatu. They were settled in different parts of the state. It was quite a big state, 2 states. That is the Sakyan state as well as the Kolia state. And they lived there for a long time. So after many years, when they came to the Buddha to have his blessings, there the Buddha had asked, well, my dear, tell me, who among you represents truly or symbolizes truly the state of spiritual perfection? One whose word, whose action, and whose thought are perfectly integrated, perfectly harmonized, thereby showing the spiritual equilibrium and the spiritual perfection that you have attained. So that is where these monks had they had mentioned the name of the Venerable Mantaniputta. The name itself shows he was the son of Mantani. Mantani was a great Brahmin lady, very learned and respected, and they are the Rajguru family. So he too had come and become a great. So on this occasion, Sariputra Bhante had heard him, and he then later on he went to Savatthi, Buddha went, and all of them. So there, Sariputra Bhante entered into that vana. He had heard that Mantaniputta had come there. So both of them spent their whole day, and after the samadhi, a discussion, a very lively discussion ensued, and that is recorded in a sutta called Ratha Vinita Sutta. Ratha is a chariot. In this case, he gave an example that suppose a person wants to go from Savatthi to Ayodhya, Saketa, and 7 relay chariots are placed in 7 different places so that the person can reach very quickly and also come back very quickly. That is the theme of the sutta, and that in this sutta, the very heart of Buddha's teaching, the 7 stages of purification are given. So today it is already time. This is only by way of introduction to the theme, introduction to the sutta. In the next sutta, I will take up the sutta itself, the 7-stage relay chariot discourse, and how the 7-fold purifications occur leading to the state of a perfect one, an arhat, enlightened disciple of the Buddha. May the grace of Lord Buddha surround your lives with wisdom and well-being. May you all be happy and well.